She walked into the church, just like she had done every single day before. There was no struggle, no scream, no goodbye. She stepped into the house of God and was never seen again. It was the early 1990s. A quiet parish, a faithful community, and a Catholic nun who had devoted her entire life to service, obedience, and prayer. But on this day, the silence that surrounded her would never be broken. At first, no one was afraid. She's probably in the chapel. She must be praying. She'll be back soon. Minutes turned into hours. Daylight faded into night. Her bed was untouched. Her personal items exactly where she left them. Her shoes, neatly placed beside the door. That was the moment concern turned into fear. The last confirmed sighting places her inside the church. One witness says they watched her walk past the altar. Another insists she never showed up for evening prayers. And then, the stories began to change. One account mentions voices. Another remembers silence. A priest who first spoke with certainty later claimed he wasn't sure at all. When questions were asked, answers came slowly. When police were mentioned, there was hesitation. And when the community asked for the truth, the church said nothing. No public announcements. No urgent appeals. No explanations. Only prayer. Was this simply a woman who chose to walk away from her vows? Or did something happen within those sacred walls? Something never meant to be seen, never meant to be spoken about. Some believe she discovered a secret. Others believe her faith was tested in ways she could not escape. And a few believe the truth was hidden long before anyone thought to look for it. Was this a crime? Or something the church tried to bury? Before she was known as Sister Maria Agnes, before the veil, the vows, and the silence, she had another name. She was born Margaret Ann O'Connell. In 1951. In a quiet working-class neighborhood of County Cork, Ireland. To her family she was Maggie. When Margaret entered religious life at the age of 21, she chose a new name. Sister Maria Agnes, in honor of purity, devotion, and sacrifice. By the early 1990s, she was 42 years old, and had spent more than 2 decades living within the church, not because she had nowhere else to go, but because she believed this was where God wanted her. At the time of her disappearance, Sister Maria Agnes was stationed at St. Bridget's Parish Church, a modest stone church located just outside Kilfenora, a small town in Western Ireland. It was the kind of place where everyone knew each other, where strangers stood out, and secrets had a way of staying hidden. Those who lived alongside her described her in the same way: quiet but observant, reserved but deeply kind, disciplined, thoughtful, devout. She wasn't the loudest voice in the convent, but she was often the one people trusted most. Her fellow nuns said, Sister Maria had a way of listening that made you feel seen. She didn't interrupt. She didn't judge. Her calling began early. Raised in a strictly Catholic household, Margaret grew up attending daily mass, helping with parish events, and caring for younger children in her community. Becoming a nun wasn't an escape for her. It was a decision she made with clarity and commitment. Her parish members said, she used to say the silence helped her hear God more clearly. Her daily routine at St. Bridget's was predictable, almost unchanging. She rose at 5 a.m. for morning prayers, attended Mass shortly after sunrise, taught catechism classes to local children, helped prepare communion, and often stayed late to counsel parishioners in private. Evenings were quiet, reading scripture, writing reflections, personal prayer. No nights out, no unexplained absences, no breaks from routine. There was no history of rebellion, no record of disciplinary issues. No indication she had ever tried to leave religious life. She didn't withdraw money. She didn't pack clothes. She didn't contact old friends about starting over. Everything about Sister Maria Agnes suggested one thing. She was fully committed to her vows. Fellow nun. If she wanted to leave, she would have told the Mother Superior. That's how things were done, which is why what happened next shattered everyone who knew her. A woman bound by routine, surrounded by faith, living inside a tightly controlled religious community. She didn't disappear from a road, or a city street, or a train station. She vanished from inside her church. In 1994, from the very place she had dedicated her life to. And as investigators would later discover, the church she served so faithfully was not as peaceful as it appeared. To understand how Sister Maria Agnes could disappear, you have to understand the world she lived in. Life inside St. Brigid's Parish in the early 1990s followed a rhythm that rarely changed. Every hour was accounted for, every movement observed. The day began before sunrise. At 5 a.m., the convent bell rang. Morning prayers followed immediately. Silence was expected, not just encouraged, but enforced. Breakfast was brief, conversation minimal, then Mass. By 7 a.m., the church was already open to the public. The rest of the day was divided between service and obedience. Teaching children, cleaning the church, preparing communion, private prayer. Each nun had her assigned duties. Deviating from them without permission was discouraged. Independence was not part of convent life. Above all, there was structure. At the top stood the parish priest, answerable to the bishop of the diocese. Within the convent itself, authority rested with the Mother Superior. Her word was final. She decided schedules. She approved visitors. She controlled communication with the outside world. Former nun. You didn't argue. You didn't question. Obedience was the vow that mattered most. Letters were read. Phone calls were limited. Personal struggles were meant to be taken to prayer, not discussed openly. Privacy was rare. Solitude, even rarer. On the surface, Sister Maria Agnes appeared content. She followed the rules. She carried out her duties. She rarely complained. But those closest to her noticed small changes, longer moments of silence, a distant look during prayer, a tendency to withdraw, even within the convent. Fellow nun. She wasn't unhappy, but she seemed burdened, like something weighed on her. Whispers began to circulate. Nothing spoken openly, nothing written down, just quiet rumors passed in hallways. Questions about things seen after hours, conversations that ended when others entered the room. Tension between clergy members. No one ever accused anyone directly, but the unease was there. In a place built on silence, rumors don't spread loudly, they linger. Isolation was part of the system. Nuns were discouraged from forming close personal bonds. Friendships existed, but always with boundaries. Confiding too much in one person was seen as unhealthy, dangerous even. If Sister Maria Agnes was struggling, she would have had very few places to turn. Parishioner. She loved the church. But I don't think the church always loved her back. In a hierarchy where questioning authority was discouraged, and silence was praised as virtue, conflict didn't erupt. It disappeared, and in the weeks before Sister Maria Agnes vanished, that quiet tension grew harder to ignore. Something was wrong, but in a place where obedience mattered more than truth, no one spoke up. And then, one ordinary morning, Sister Maria Agnes failed to appear. In the final days before Sister Maria Agnes disappeared, nothing dramatic happened, and that's what makes it unsettling. There were no arguments witnessed, no public breakdowns, no cries for help, just small changes. Several nuns later recalled that she had grown unusually quiet, not withdrawn, just more inward. She lingered longer in the chapel after prayers. She often stayed behind, kneeling alone, long after others had left. Fellow nun. She would sit there, staring at the altar, not praying out loud, just thinking. In the week before her disappearance, Sister Maria Agnes stopped writing letters home. This was unusual. She wrote to her older sister in Cork every month without fail. That month, no letter arrived. Her personal journal, kept hidden beneath her mattress, was later found in her room. The final entry was brief, no date, no explanation, just a single line. I don't know who to trust anymore. Around the same time, she was reportedly summoned to a private meeting with the parish priest, Father Declan Byrne. No official record of that meeting exists, only memory. Former nun, she came back quiet, more than usual. She wouldn't say what they talked about. What is known is this. In the days that followed, Sister Maria Agnes was seen speaking less during meals, avoiding eye contact, and requesting permission to spend more time alone in prayer. Requests that were noted and denied. There are also reports, never formally documented, that she had questioned a decision made by the Mother Superior, possibly regarding church records or internal matters. Questioning authority was rare. Doing so twice was unheard of. Was she planning something? Investigators later found no packed bags, no hidden money, no letters of farewell. If she was considering leaving, she left no trace of preparation, which suggests one of two possibilities. She wasn't planning to go anywhere, or she didn't believe she would need to. The last confirmed conversations with Sister Maria Agnes occurred on the morning of October 17, 1994. She spoke briefly with a fellow nun in the hallway, exchanged a few words with a parishioner after morning mass. and was seen entering the sacristy shortly before noon. "Fellow nun," she smiled. Nothing seemed wrong. That was the last time anyone outside the clergy would ever see her. Who spoke to her after that moment remains unclear. Church records list no appointments, no meetings, no visitors, only silence. Whatever happened to Sister Maria Agnes happened after that door closed, and by nightfall she was gone. Monday, October 17, 1994. The day Sister Maria Agnes disappeared began like any other. Morning or 5 a.m. 8 a.m. At 5 a.m., the convent bell rang. Sister Maria Agnes rose with the others, dressed in her standard habit, a black veil, dark wool dress, white coif, and leather walking shoes. She attended morning prayers without incident. No distress noted, no absence recorded. Fellow nun said, "She was there, right beside me." By 6:30 a.m., she joined the community for breakfast. She ate little, spoke less, but nothing about her behavior was alarming enough to raise concern. At 7 a.m., she assisted with morning mass. Midday or 8 a.m., 12 p.m., after mass, Sister Maria Agnes helped clean the sanctuary and prepare the sacristy. Several parishioners recall seeing her near the altar, organizing communion vessels. This would become the last confirmed public sighting of her. Parishioner. She was wearing her usual habit, nothing out of place. Shortly before 12 p.m., Sister Maria Agnes was seen walking toward the sacristy. One witness claims she turned toward the chapel. Another insists she headed in the direction of the rectory. Church layout records show both paths intersect and disappear from view. Early afternoon or 12 p.m., 4 p.m. This is where the timeline fractures. No one can say with certainty where Sister Maria Agnes went next. She did not attend midday prayers. Her name was not called, because no one yet believed she was missing. No sound of struggle was reported. No alarms were raised. The church basement used for storage and old records was unlocked that day. So was the rectory. Both locations were later searched. Neither showed signs of disturbance. Evening or 4 p.m., 7 p.m. By 5 p.m., the convent prepared for evening mass. Sister Maria Agnes did not appear. At first, this caused little concern. She was assumed to be praying alone or assisting elsewhere. But by 6:30 p.m., her absence was noted. Fellow nun. She never missed evening prayers. Never. Her room was checked. Her bed was neatly made. Her habit for the next day was laid out. Her personal belongings untouched. She had not changed clothes. She had not taken her shoes. She had not prepared to leave. Nightfall or after 7 p.m. as darkness fell, a realization set in. Sister Maria Agnes had vanished, without a trace, not from a street, not from a journey, but from inside a functioning church, on an ordinary Monday. And from that moment on, no one could say where she went or who saw her last. It was the evening of Monday, October 17, 1994. At St. Brigid's Parish Church, just outside Kilfenora, County Clare, Ireland. At first, no one wanted to admit anything was wrong. Sister Maria Agnes, born Margaret O'Connell, 42 years old, had missed evening prayers before, but only occasionally, and always with explanation. She must be praying in the chapel. She probably went to visit Father Declan Byrne in the rectory. She'll be back soon. Excuses came easily. But as the clock approached 8:30 p.m., concern quietly spread through the convent. Her name was called Sister Maria Agnes, but no response came. Her room at the convent was checked. Everything remained as it always had. Her bed neatly made. Her habit for the following day folded on the chair. Her personal Bible and rosary still on the bedside table. Her black leather shoes were in place. No coat. No money. No packed bag. Nothing suggesting she had left on her own. Fellow nun? At first, I thought she was in the chapel, but when I checked, she wasn't anywhere. Something felt wrong. The search expanded across St. Brigid's parish grounds. Chapel, empty. Sacristy, locked. Rectory, quiet. Even the church basement, where old records were stored, was checked. Nothing. Doors that were normally open were now closed, some locked, some with no one able to recall who had last used them. By 9 p.m., panic replaced denial. The Mother Superior, Sister Eileen McCarthy, was notified. A head count was conducted twice. Sister Maria Agnes was nowhere to be found. The realization hit like a stone. No one outside the convent had seen her. No signs of travel. No letters.